Let's begin with the foundations. Welcome to another lecture, where we apply careful analysis to things people usually just yell about on weekends. Today, Giovanni Reyna, an American attacking midfielder and winger whose game, we observe, is defined by creativity between the lines, set-piece dexterity, and a curious talent for arriving precisely when defenders are tired. I am Professor Alexei, and with me is Priyanka, whose questions keep us honest and occasionally rescue me from digressions into footnotes.
Hi everyone, thank you Professor. I'm Priyanka and I'm excited to look at Giovanni Reyna with a research mindset. What he shows us about talent, timing and, how injuries can change a career arc.
To frame our discussion, Giovanni Alejandro Reyna is an American professional footballer, an attacking midfielder who is also comfortable wide left or right. He is particularly effective threading passes through compact defensive structures, striking set pieces, and generating late-game impact as what coaches call a super sub. He currently plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga and for the United States men's national team. He joined Mönchengladbach permanently in August 2025. Before we get to the complexities, a brief lexicon. Bundesliga, Germany's top professional league. DFB Pokal, the primary German knockout cup. UEFA Champions League, Europe's elite club competition. CONCACAF Nations League, a regional national team tournament for North and Central America and the Caribbean. A cap is an international appearance. A brace is 2 goals in 1 match. A trivela is a shot or pass struck with the outside of the foot, yielding delightful curvature. An assist hat trick is 3 assists in a single game. And a super sub is a substitute whose late entrance changes matches, sometimes rudely so, from the opponent's perspective.
Actually, one quick thing. The trivela sounds romantic but technical. Is it mainly flair, or does it solve a geometry problem on the pitch?
Mathematically, it solves an angle of attack constraint when the body is close to the target. The outside of the foot strike creates the necessary lateral spin without reopening the hips. In simpler terms, it lets you pass or shoot around an obstacle without telegraphing intent. For example, Reyna used precisely such a finish in the United States 4-1 World Cup win over Paraguay in June 2026. Now, relevance. Reyna is significant because he is part of a cohort redefining the ceiling for American players in top European leagues. He produced age-based records in Germany, impacted knockout matches for the US, and, despite injury interruptions, gathered individual recognition such as 2023-24 CONCACAF Nations League Player of the Tournament. The stakes involve both performance and perception. When players like Reyna succeed in the Bundesliga, it recalibrates how American development pipelines are judged globally.
So, moving on. Injuries seem to be part of the story. Do you think that volatility shapes how European clubs view American prospects more broadly, or is it seen as a player-specific variable?
It is important to understand the distinction. Clubs largely treat injuries as player-specific risk, though when a national cohort lacks minutes at high intensity, some observers overgeneralize. In Reyna's case, the 2021-22 disruptions and subsequent stop-start usage impacted his trajectory more than any nationality stereotype. Nevertheless, public narratives can be less discriminating than medical files.
Let's consider this from the beginning. Can we outline the basic history quickly before the deep dive?
Certainly. Born in November 2002 in Sunderland, England, to U.S. internationals Claudio and Danielle Reyna, he grew up in the New York area and joined the New York City FC Academy in 2015. In 2019, he moved to Borussia Dortmund's academy, and within months debuted for the first team. In January 2020, at 17 years and 66 days, he became the youngest American to appear in the Bundesliga. In February 2020, he became the youngest goal scorer in German Cup history. By October 2020, he registered a Bundesliga hat-trick of assists, the youngest to do so. 2 to Erling Haaland, 1 from a corner to Emre Can. For the national team, he debuted in November 2020 and scored his first senior U.S. goal 4 days later with a direct free kick against Panama. In club silverware, he appeared in Dortmund's 4-1 DFB Pokal final win in May 2021, the youngest American to play in a European domestic cup final. Injuries marred 2021-22, yet in September 2022, he became the first American with 2 assists in a Champions League match. His 2022-23 league season featured 7 goals, 5 as a substitute, with elite minutes per goal efficiency. The 2022 World Cup brought limited minutes and later acknowledged attitude issues referenced publicly by the coach. Reyna apologized while disputing the handling. That episode remained a flashpoint in U.S. soccer discourse. Club-wise, he extended with Dortmund and went on loan to Nottingham Forest in early 2024, recording 1 assist. He then returned to Dortmund for a sporadic 2024-25. In August 2025, he transferred permanently to Borussia Mönchengladbach, scoring his first for the club in stoppage time in May 2026. Internationally, he was central to U.S. CONCACAF Nations League titles in 2021, 2023, and 2024, earning Player of the Tournament in 2024, and he scored in the opening match of the 2026 World Cup. Career totals to mid-2026: 175 senior club appearances with 20 goals, among them 146 and 19 for Dortmund, 10 and 0 on loan at Nottingham Forest, 19 and 1 in the 2025-26 season for Mönchengladbach, plus 39 U.S. senior caps with 10 goals.
Isn't it interesting how nicknames shape narratives? I mean, being called the American Dream by Erling Haaland is memorable. And also the personal ties. Close friends with Joe Scally since the NYCFC Academy. Do these relationships, you think, subtly improve on-field chemistry for the national team?
We can infer modest but real effects. Shared developmental environments shorten communication time constants, if you will. The Haaland moniker amplified his early reputation. The Scally friendship provides social stability in camp settings, which for young players managing expectations and travel is not trivial. A brief personal note. As a chess enthusiast, I admire late-game resourcefulness. Reyna's 2022-23 stretch, where 5 of 7 league goals came off the bench, is what in endgame theory we might call precise exploitation of tempo. In footballing terms, he has a feel for when the position is ripe, and he does not waste the move. This brings us to 3 big questions. First, historically, how did Reyna achieve such rapid early breakthroughs? Second, counterfactually, how might his trajectory look absent the injury spells? Third, looking forward, what is the plausible ceiling for his club role and his influence on the U.S. team and its global image?
I think the next thing we should talk about is the first question, the rapid rise. What were the enabling conditions beyond individual talent?
Historically, 3 vectors converged. First, a robust youth springboard via the NYCFC Academy, which prepared him for European tactical and technical standards. Second, a move to Borussia Dortmund in 2019. That club, as a matter of institutional design, integrates elite teenagers, so the path from academy to first team is short, provided you merit it. Third, He capitalized on opportunity with immediate high-leverage contributions. The youngest goal scorer in the DFB Pokal in February 2020, a Champions League knockout assist to Holland days later, and the assists hat-trick in October 2020. These were not honorary cameos. They were decisive actions in senior contexts, which rapidly compounds trust from coaches.
I'm curious about the family legacy piece. Both parents US internationals, born in Sunderland while his father played there, named after Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Does that heritage accelerate development by networks, or is it mostly psychological?
It is in fact both structural and psychological. Structurally, having Claudio and Danielle Reyna as parents situates a child within high information networks, access to quality coaching, calibrated expectations, and informed decisions such as joining NYCFC in 2015 and then Dortmund in 2019. Psychologically, we note a mature competitive posture often observed in children who grow up around professional environments. They normalize pressure early. It is worth noting the family's profound loss in 2012, when Giovanni's older brother Jack died of brain cancer. Colleagues and coaches have spoken about the resilience and perspective that shaped Giovanni thereafter. These elements, combined with dual national attention that he resolved in March 2020 by committing to the United States, created a clear, stable path on which his talent could accelerate.
Building on that, the Haaland connection matters too, right? When a star striker benefits from your passes, it changes your reputation curve.
Clearly, assisting Haaland in marquee fixtures is a kind of public proof. It demonstrates that your decision-making scales to elite speeds. The nickname "the American Dream" was not merely affectionate branding. It captured the zeitgeist that an American teenager could be a primary creator at Dortmund.
To shift gears a bit, the second question. Counterfactuals about injuries. If those 2021-22 setbacks never happened, what do we think changes first?
Theoretically, absent the 2021-22 injury cascade, continuity of minutes likely consolidates his claim to Dortmund's number 7 shirt after July 2021. With uninterrupted rhythm, the 2022-23 efficiency, second only to Erling Haaland in minutes per goal among top 5 league players entering the final match day, probably translates into more starts rather than super sub bursts. That in turn affects later nodes. Fewer sporadic 2024-25 appearances, reduced likelihood of a short Premier League loan, and critically, a higher transfer valuation than the approximately €7 million that took him to Mönchengladbach in August 2025.
Can we maybe now look at national team implications? Without the injuries and the 2022 World Cup tensions, do we see a bigger role in Qatar? Or is that too speculative?
We must be disciplined. It is plausible that uninterrupted club form yields more robust minutes in Qatar. However, the precise balance between tactical choice, form, fitness, and the later acknowledged attitude issue remains debated publicly, with no comprehensive contemporaneous accounting from staff. Counterfactuals here have high variance. What we can say is that his subsequent response, 2 assists in the 2023 Nations League final window and player of the tournament in 2024, demonstrates capacity to reset the narrative through performance.
And club stability. If injuries are minimized, does he stay at Dortmund long term? Or is a move still optimal for playing time?
In this context, fit is a multidimensional function. A healthy, high-usage Reyna likely remains a core Dortmund piece through at least 2025, given his age and production profile. Dortmund historically monetized stars only after substantial value appreciation. Yet football development is non-linear. Even with health, role congestion can motivate a move. Absent injuries, the probability mass shifts toward continuity at Dortmund and a later larger transfer, rather than a low-fee reset within the Bundesliga.
On to our next point, the third question, the future. What are the near-term challenges, and where does the ceiling sit after the move to Mönchengladbach?
First principles. Availability precedes ability. For Mönchengladbach, the objective is to convert flashes into continuity. His 2025-26 season yielded 19 appearances and 1 goal, with only 4 league starts amid injuries. If he stabilizes health, he projects as a primary chance creator between the lines, with set-piece value and late-game decisiveness. The U.S. role is more consolidated. He has already contributed to 3 Nations League titles, earned 2024 Player of the Tournament, and scored in the opening match of the 2026 World Cup. The next step is leadership by repetition, stringing together months of end product rather than episodic interventions.
What comes to mind next is the global image question. If Reyna thrives consistently, does that materially change how European clubs evaluate American attackers? Or is that effect already baked in by others?
There is path dependence. Christian Pulisic, among others, shifted priors. Reyna, by adding creative playmaking in Germany and knockout performances for the US, extends the sample size. A consistent Reyna at Mönchengladbach, or later another European stage, reinforces a narrative that American players can be technical protagonists, not merely industrious role players. It is crucial to understand that one player rarely rewrites scouting doctrine. Rather, cohorts move the mean. Reyna is part of that mean-shifting cohort.
Maybe it's just me, but I'd like to see research on spillovers. Do national team stars in Europe increase youth participation, or change academy investment patterns back home?
To elaborate, that is an excellent agenda. We need longitudinal studies on how sustained European success by US attackers affects domestic academy spending, dual national recruitment dynamics, and training loads designed to mitigate soft tissue injuries in high-frequency match calendars. Also of interest is set-piece specialization. Reyna's early free-kick goal for the US suggests teachable leverage if systematically developed across youth cohorts.
So, I guess that kind of sums it up. Reyna as a creator, a clutch substitute becoming a consistent starter, and a case study in how careers bend under pressure and recovery.
To summarize, Giovanni Reyna is an American attacking midfielder whose early records in Germany, combined with US knockout performances and a 2026 World Cup goal, position him as both symbol and substance in the evolving story of American soccer abroad. We examined how he broke through rapidly at Dortmund, how injuries plausibly diverted the trajectory, and what a stabilized future could mean for club roles and US soccer's image. For continued study, we recommend tracking young American talents in European academies, with particular attention to continuity of minutes, injury prevention, and set-piece curricula. This then completes our present analysis.
Thank you for listening, and thank you, Professor.
In conclusion, we appreciate your attention. Until next time on another lecture.